So before we get started, who can tell me what does it mean to be a parallel line? Two lines that will never, they'll never touch. It's like railroad tracks, right? Those railroad tracks will never touch each other. So does everybody see these two lines right here? They are what are called parallel. Okay. Now, what we're going to learn about today is these two parallel lines, and they're going to be cut by what's called a transversal. A transversal is a line that intersects two other lines. So you take these parallel lines and you slash them with another line. Does everybody see it? Easy? What happens when you do that is it creates 8 angles. How many angles?
8.
So everybody look. 4 up here, 4 right here. Does everybody see them? Yesterday we talked about what kind of angles there are, so you don't have to write this. I'm just going to remind you. What kind of angle is this? This is called a right angle. It has a measure of 90 degrees. If you have an angle that's bigger than 90 degrees, like that, what is that called? Obtuse, because it's bigger than 90. And then what if it's little? Acute. That's smaller than 90. You're going to hear me say those words just because I think that you already know that stuff. Okay, so I just want to make sure if you did not remember that you remember that. So whenever we cut a parallel line by a transversal, it creates these kinds of angles. Some obtuse, some acute, and maybe even some right angles sometimes. Yes? Yesterday we also learned, so if you need to write this down, write it down on the back. The measure of a straight line is 180 degrees. You have to know that today, just like you had to know it yesterday. The measure of a straight line is what? 180. So what I need y'all to understand is if I have a straight line and I have a line that goes through it, then these two angles have to add up to equal 180 because they're making a straight line. Do y'all understand that? So this is obtuse, yes? What is this right here? And this obtuse plus this acute has to be 180. All right, so if you flip back to the front, we've created 8 angles by taking this parallel line cut by a transversal, and everybody look at angle 1 and 2. Look how I'm covering up everything else. Do you see that they're making a straight line? Yes or no? So 1 and 2 have to add up to equal 180. They're a straight line. Look at 2 and 4. What do they have to add up to equal? 180. What about 3 and 4? 180. Now here's a question. What about, so I'm going to see if y'all can figure it out, angle 1 and angle 6? They're going to be 180 because look at angle 1 and angle 6. What does angle 6 look like? Angle 2. They are the exact same. So angle 1 plus angle 6 would also be 180. And that's all it wants you to know. So if you have a highlighter, and if you don't, you can use your pencil. I want you to highlight angle 1 and angle 4 like that. They are the same. Do you see how they're both obtuse? They have the same measure. What else is the same as 1 and 4? 5 and 8. So if I told you angle 1 is 120 degrees, what's angle 8? I'm going to say it again. If I told you angle 1 is 120 degrees, what's angle 8? You would say 120 because they are the same. If I told you angle 1 is 120, what's angle 5? 120. Now here's my question. If I told you angle 1 is 120, could you find angle 2? Yes, because I know that these two have to add up to equal So I would just do 180 and subtract 120, and this angle would have to be 60. If angle 2 is 60, what's angle 3? 60. What's angle 6? 60. What's angle 7? 60. Because they are all the same. And that's all we're learning today. So today, your answer will either be the exact same or you'll subtract from 180. Okay, so let's look at an example. Everybody look at this first example. They gave you this angle right here. Is it acute or obtuse? It's acute. It is 40 degrees. They want to know what is angle X. Well, is X also acute? So is it the same or do I need to subtract from 180? It's the same. So my answer is literally X equals 40. And the reason is they're in the same spots. They are adjacent from each other. This angle, this angle, this angle, this angle. See how they're all going the same way? They're like also parallel if I was to highlight them. Yes? All right. Let's look at this one. I want y'all to think about it. Would X be 48? I don't see everybody paying attention. Or would I need to subtract from 180? Think about it. Don't say it. Are they the same or do I need to subtract? Say it out loud. They are the same. Look at this. It's acute. It's acute. They are the same. So X is 48. All right, let's look at this one. All right, I'm going to use my highlighter so y'all can see. X is the same as this one. Is X acute or obtuse? X is obtuse. All right, and it's the same as these. Now look at the angle they gave you. 62. Is that obtuse or acute? 62 is acute. So obviously they are not they're not the same. So X is not equal to 62. So how would I solve for X? Subtract from 180. So 180 minus 62, 118. So X is equal to 118. I'm going to say it again. They're either going to be the exact same or you subtract from 180. And you should be able to look at them and know that they're the same because they're both obtuse or they're both acute or they're not and they add up to 180. Try this last one on your own. They are either the same or you have to subtract from 180. All right. Were they the same? No. How do you know? I mean, clearly this one's obtuse and clearly this one's acute. So they are not the same. So you subtract from 180. 180 minus 135, which is what? 45. Now, there are some that it's hard to tell because they're both very close to a right angle. In that case, you've got to use your brain and kind of like highlight. Do y'all see how the same angles will line up parallel to each other? Yes or no? Okay. I'm going to post your assignment. I'm going to give you an answer document, and you will want to get it checked with me because I usually have people mess up a little bit on this, okay? Let me go get it posted.